Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and you, my dear friends, have wandered onto the Prog Corner, where today we're talking about the brand new album from Frost. It's called Life in the Wires, and it is a good one, man. Oh, yeah, who is Frost, and why do I care so much about them? Well, going through, anytime I do a video, I always search. I hit that search button and see if there's been a bunch of, videos on the topic. No one's talking about Frost on YouTube, so this feels very timely. I know my good friend Nathan on Shuffle reviewed this album yesterday. I think Rhyme Signatures is going to do it tomorrow. So today's my day to look at this new Frost album. This band formed in 2006. They put out their first album, Million Town. The lineup then was Jim Godfrey and John Mitchell, who are on all 5 albums. The rhythm section at this time was John Jowett on bass and the despised Andy Edwards on drums. And they were joined by a second guitarist, John Boyes, who was only on that first album. A couple years later, they dropped their second album, Experiments and Mass Appeal. I didn't like it as much. It sounded like a bunch of experiments to me, but it was a cool record. Same rhythm section, but that John Boyes gone now. He's gone at this point, and Declan Burke takes over second guitar and lead vocals on this one. The third album, after an 8-year hiatus, they come back in 2016 with Falling Satellites, an album that's got all kinds of weird stuff. This is the beginning of the real Frost lineup, if you will. That album has the same lineup as this one, where you got Jim and John, joined by Nathan King from Level 42, and Craig Blundell on drums, with the monster Craig Blundell. 5 years later, they released Day and Age, and this is different in that I guess Craig Blundell was busy with Steve Hackett or something. They used like a drummer by committee. Darby Todd from Kaipa's on there. Pat Mastelotto from King Crimson. And Kaz Rodriguez. So there were 3 different drummers. And now we get to the new one, 2024's Life in the Wires. Same lineup as Falling Satellites. So Craig Blundell is back. So the band is back together. And so it's Jim Godfrey, John Mitchell, Nathan King, Craig Blundell. This album comes out Friday, October 18th on Inside Out. And oh man, it's amazing. 14 songs. It's 2 discs. It's a double album. 85 minutes long, man. This thing's a monster. So when getting ready for this album, Jim was talking about how he had a 5-record deal with Inside Out. This is the 5th record, so the last on this particular contract. So he's like, you know what, if this is the last record for Inside Out, I'm going out with a bang. So let's do a double album. All the cool kids do double albums. So apparently Jim did research, right? He went back, he listened to The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway and The Wall and all the classic double albums of yesteryear, all the concept double albums of yesteryear. And so there were also a couple other things going on here. Inside his brain, he figured, you know what? It's time to bring the solos back. So this album definitely harkens back to that debut album quite a bit. And also, Jim is singing lead on here, whereas Day and Age, it was John singing lead. So, you have a whole different flavor there. But apparently this album not only is like a return to the Million Town style, but it's also kind of a return to the world that the protagonist in Day and Age inhabited. So you've got this guy, his name's Neo, and he hears a DJ on an old AM transistor radio, and I guess it speaks to him, and he decides he wants to go find the source of this signal. The all-seeing eye is not too happy about it. I guess we're all living in a AI-induced kind of world here. It's this dystopian future that prog rockers just love to do. I love it. So this is not a sequel to Day and Age as much as it is a spin-off. Jem has considered this album to be the Frasier of Day and Age's Cheers, if you know what that means. And, Jem is a producer, right? I mean, he started out as a producer. He's the guy who gave you Kiss Kiss and Atomic Kittens, so what are you going to do, man? So he's got that pop production sensibility, and the production on here is amazing. It's really, really great. It's got that modern, slick kind of sound. Almost too much so. One of the things about the modern production values is the bass guitar tends to get lost in the mix. No difference here, man. I listened to this album like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, oh, they do have a bass player. You really got to listen for it, and that's a little bit of a bummer, but, let's go through this album. It's a double album. There's a lot to get through. Some people might think that the runtime is a bit of a detriment. I don't think so. I actually think the runtime is perfect for this. Disc 1 and Disc 2 are both like right around like 42, 45 minutes. So, each one operates like as a single whole, even though Jem said he was looking at this as 4 sides, like the vinyl, which I don't have yet. Anyway, Disc 1 starts with the sky waving, and the main theme of the album comes in C. So it's a C, F, and a D flat. You're in 7/8 time here. And, right from the get-go, Jem starts singing, and you're like, oh, man, this is giving me those Million Town vibes. Absolutely. The first real song is Life in the Wires, Part 1. This was the first single and got people really excited and jacked up about this record. I'm jacked up about this record, man. I think it's amazing. Got the little Morse code going on. You get some really complex rhythms in the intro that just sound amazing. Jem's keys, they hit so hard. It sounds great. Hello, hello. The vocal melody is really, really good. Great way to start the album. The third track is This House of Winter, and it starts real slow with A flat to C chord progression, and the song picks up a little bit as we go along, and then you get a great guitar solo from John Mitchell. Really, really great. Solid State Orchestra is kind of like the backbone of Disc 1. Starts out with that Tony Banks sound and piano and Jem's voice. Finally picks up a little bit, and you get a mid-tempo rocker. I love it when Jem is saying, can't take this poison atmosphere. I love his voice, man. There's something about Jem's voice. John's got a great voice too, but I love Jem. He works perfectly with this material. Next up is a song called Evaporator. I really like this song. I love how propulsive it is. You're in 8/8 time here, and the accent is on the 2. It's just really cool. A really neat way to drive the tempo to keep the motoric beat kind of going, because it delays that accent one beat, and it's really, really cool. You're a plastic god with a toy paper crown. Real good lyrics. I love it. Next up is Strange World. There's a little bit of a letdown piece. Slow, atmospheric. There's a couple of these on the album. 2 on Disc 1, and there's 1 slow one on Disc 2. So guess what? I prefer Disc 2. The next song is Idiot Box. This has been released as a single. Great metallic riff. Real driving. A lot of fun. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Idiot Box is a great, great track. Almost prog metal. And then Disc 1 ends with the slow little tune called Absent Friends. You got the piano going and the strings and Jem singing. It's all right. It is what it is. It functions the way it's supposed to function. But Disc 2 kicks off with School, parenthetically titled Introducing the All-Seeing Eye. This is an amazing little instrumental. So cool. You get a crunchy guitar figure. The Jem's playing with the brass patch over the top of it. They start messing around with the rhythm in this song, and it's absolutely so much fun. Such a ginormous sound. I mean, Jem creates this enormous wall of sound on this tune. It's really, really great. Next track, it's called Proper Gander. Continues with the brass patch and the keyboards, which is kind of cool. And a lot of weird rhythmic stuff early on in this song, and then it kind of turns into a Muse song about halfway through, and that's all right. He was born on a number between 1 and 0, and that kind of drives home the whole digital world, that we're living in here, this AI-induced world. Next up is Sign of Life, and this is the one, slow song on Disc 2. It's all right. You got, strings and vocals and some modern glitchy sounding percussion. It's decent, but then you get the third single kicks in, man. Moral and Consequence. Boy, this song's fun, man. It starts out with these dueling guitar rhythms, kind of like XTC used to do. I think of the lead-up track off of Big Express, Wake Up, comes to mind. Awesome. Really, really good. It gets funky in the middle, kind of like a Talking Heads I Zimba kind of thing. Jem soloing on this track is just a delight. And Craig's drumming. Oh, man. Pay attention to what he's doing behind the kit on this track, because it's really, really great. Next up is the penultimate track, and it is the epic, man. This thing's like 16 minutes long, and it starts out with that that 7/8 figure in C minor, and lots of diversions and twists and turns and dead ends and cul-de-sacs are going down on this. This track is dominated by Jem's Yamaha electric piano. Yeah, that's that Duke piano that Tony Banks always played. You get about 2/3 of the way through this song, and there is this really amazing syncopated section with an organ solo, kind of like Razzle Dazzle Canterbury almost. It's a fantastic epic. It absolutely flies right by. 16 minutes goes by in the blink of an eye. And finally, the last song is called Starting Fires. And it starts out slow, but picks up and becomes an actually really rousing final track to take you all the way through to the finish line. And oh boy, this album's a lot of fun. Is it too long? 85 minutes? Is that too long? Maybe it is, because there's a handful of those slower tracks that I may or may not skip, but overall, this album is dynamite, man. They set out to do something, and they did it right. A lot of times bands will have like preconceived notions of what their album should look like or feel like or sound like, and then it just becomes an absolute train wreck. Not this time, man. This album, Life in the Wires, is dynamite. So what's my score going to be, boys and girls? What's my score? I'm giving this puppy 9 out of 10, man. It's outstanding. It's definitely going to be factoring into my year-end list. Absolutely. It's very, very good. And it's time to give Frost their due, right? I mean, this is one of the bigger bands in the neo-prog sphere that nobody talks about. Why? It's like crazy. It's a super group. They're amazing. Life in the Wires. Pick it up. Comes out Friday on Inside Out. Anyway, guys, I love you. Peace in the Middle East. Free Tibet. Free the Ukraine. Free Willie. Free your mind, boys and girls. And God save the king. God save King Charles III. Oh, that boy could use some saving. Oh, yeah, that's something good. He could use some saving right now in America, so bring him over here. Bring that boy to America right now, where we got them good doctors and we got them good pastors going to lay some hands on him. Oh, yeah, we're going to lay the healing hands of the faithful on that boy. Oh, and then we're going to drink poison. We're going to do spells and incantations. Our prayer warriors are working overtime. But none of that's going to work. It's going to take Billy Bob and his snakes to fix up King Chucky. Hey, Billy Bob, bust out them snakes. Oh, here they come. Oh, no. Oh, they're lively today. Oh, get them away from me. King Chucky, help me, Chucky. Oh, we don't need it. We don't need these snakes, because we got the armor of God going to take care of us. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow when I do something else ridiculous. Peace.